Just in time for the holidays, Simon Hurley and Ranger have come out with the amazing new Astro pastes. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video, I'll be sharing those brand new Astro pastes, which, if you don't know, they are a new glitter paste that will go in the family of solar paste, neon paste, and lunar paste. They'll be great over stencils and just to create a glittery look on your cards. There's also new stamps and dies available in this release. So first, let's take a look at the Astro pastes and swatch them out. There are 8 new Astro pastes in this release. There's Bee Sting, Prom Queen, Slippery When Wet, Later Gator, Tropical Tango, Clear Skies, Crown Me, and Frostbite. So a perfect rainbow as well as a white, and they all are packed full of glitter, as you can see here. The paste itself looks white when it's wet, but it dries clear, which means that all you'll see on your card is the glitter and the shine of the paste, but not any color from the paste. So of course I want to swatch everything out first. I'll start at the beginning with red and go on through the rainbow and then to the white as well. Like I mentioned, on these cardstocks right now, the paste is wet, so it's very white. It will dry completely clear, and I'll be sure to show you an image of it when it's dry as well. But for now, I'm just using a palette knife and using some tags that I die cut out of black and white cardstock to swatch out all the colors so that I can see how they look when they dry, as far as the glitter itself, the color, and depending on how thick or thin I put the application is going to depend on how long it's going to take to dry. So definitely recommend starting with a thin application because you can always add more, but it's hard to take away some. Here are the dried swatches. Check out all that glitter and shine. I am so impressed with both the colors and just the amount of glitter. And once it's dry, it is not coming off the cardstock on my hands, as you can see there. So this is a great way to add glitter to your cards without having to deal with the mess of loose glitter. Next up in this release, we have a cling rubber background stamp. It's called Brick, and it's very interesting how they achieve the look. Look at all that texture on this stamp. So you'll see it when I stamp it out, how cool it is. This is sketched Christmas. I love these sketched designs. They look like hand-drawn designs, obviously they are, and some images as well as sentiments can be die cut out with those coordinating dies. This is the sketched snowmen, and I love these guys. They're so cute, and all of those snowflakes can be die cut as well with those coordinating dies. So these sentiments you would just cut into strips. This is the sketched Santas, and again, all the dies will cut out the Santas, some of the smaller images, like the bow and the ornament and the present and the candy cane. Now let's use those new Astro pastes as well as the new stamps and dies to create some glittery holiday cards. First, let's experiment with different ways to use the Astro paste. This is a very simple way, just swipe it over a stencil. So I'm using a palette knife to place little blobs of the Frostbite Astro paste at the top of the stencil, which I've taped over a piece of cardstock. Then I'll just use a scraper to scrape down so that I get a nice consistent application. I don't want it too heavy, but I do want to be able to see it. So you'll see it's hard in camera to see when it dries, that white glitter on top of this light blue cardstock, but in person it is absolutely beautiful. It's a great frosty look and will be great for both your holiday cards, your winter cards, and just having a nice white in your stash is always a good thing because it's such a neutral and can really be used on a ton of different cards. So I'm just adding a little bit where I've missed some spaces. This stencil is from a previous release. It's the Tiny Diamonds stencil. I'll take off the tape and then carefully peel this back so I don't mush anything. And here you can see where it's dry. Very sparkly, but not a ton of color, which is exactly what I want. I wanted kind of snowflakes in the background. The next technique I wanted to try was to just swipe on color with a palette knife. This is similar to the look that I created on my swatches, but I wanted to see how it would look for a holiday looking background. So I have Bee Sting here, later Gator, and then I'll use Slippery When Wet as like a gold. So very traditional Christmas colors, and these will be great again for the holidays, but then just to have a rainbow of colors in your stash. I love that Slippery When Wet is really a beautiful gold glitter when it dries. So it is definitely another one that you want to have. Over a 3D embossed background is another way. Now, Simon has showed us that you can use your lunar paste or neon paste over dark colors of cardstocks when you've used a 3D embossed background. So I wanted to see if I could mimic the same look with the Astro pastes. So definitely want to scoop out a little bit onto your work surface, glass mat, or whatever mat you're using to protect your desk, and then just use your finger. I don't know if you're okay with that, but if you're not, you could use a type of surgical glove or something like that to protect your hands, but it doesn't bother me. I don't mind getting a little messy now and again, especially when you get this much shine and color on your images in the background. This beautiful poinsettia embossed background really comes to life when you add glitter to the petals, the holly, and the centers. Next up, let's try swiping multiple colors over a stencil. I have an A2 piece of black cardstock. I've rolled a piece of tape so that it stays down on my glass mat, and then I've taped the tiny dots or tiny circles stencil right on top. And now I'll place a blob of all the colors at the top of this. So I have everything from the red down to the purple, and then I'll use a scraper to scrape downward so that I can make sure that all of those little circles are filled in. Next, I'll carefully peel off this tape and then carefully again peel back the stencil. I am in love with this. I think these colors look so phenomenal on black cardstock. They look great on white as well and other colors, but this rainbow I think looks great on black cardstock. For this technique, we'll try swiping over a heat embossed stamped image. So I have the brick stamp, that cling mounted background stamp, and I've taken out the mat inside Altenews stamp wheel and put in their rubber or cling mounted mat that goes in the stamp wheel as well, so that I can press down and get this great image. Check that out. I love it just like that. I might have just put clear on it and just done it like that, but I thought kind of a snowy white background with the red brick just showing through in a hint would be perfect. So here, instead of placing big blobs, I'm doing tiny little spots and then just dragging it down and then across with that scraper. I don't want a big clump or full coverage. I just want a hint here and there of that sparkle. Now again, this is hard to see in camera, but it really does add a beautiful frosty look to the first two backgrounds. And of course, this is dry here. You can see the red, the green, that Slippery When Wet, and a rainbow that I used after creating this dotted rainbow background. I adore this card background. I think that's going to be so much fun to play with. For this card, I've stamped and heat embossed with white embossing powder the Christmas tree from the sketched Christmas tree stamp set and the Merry Christmas sentiment from that same stamp set. And I've done this on a dark green cardstock. I am using some pencils just to color in some of the openings and to add little dots, which are like colorful lights, onto that tree, just to add a hint of color to that white embossed looking sketched tree on the dark green cardstock. So I'll also color in the snow at the bottom a little bit, just for a different look to it. You don't have to do this, but I just love the way that colored pencils look on dark colors of cardstock, so that is always fun to do. Then I'll use those coordinating dies to cut the image and the sentiment out, and then use some black foam squares, since the cardstock is on the darker side, to pop up both the tree and the Merry Christmas on the poinsettia glittery background. I love all this glitter. I just think it's such an easy way to apply it, and it's going to add lots of shine to your cards. For this next card, I'm using the Sketched Snowmen stamp set, and I'm stamping out 2 of the little snow people and 3 of the snowflakes, and you can see they're just adorable the way they are. You don't really have to color them in, but I decided to add little bits of color using some Simon Hurley ink and a Spellbinders water brush to pick up a little bit of that ink and watercolor in the noses, the scarves and hats, and that little present. So this is really easy to do. You don't really have to have any watercoloring expertise at all. I'm just coloring in those images so they have little pops of color, kind of like I added with the pencils on that green cardstock and white heat embossed tree. So I'm not doing any real blending and shading. I'm just picking up the color and adding it to the open areas of those little snowmen that are not the actual snow parts of the snowman. Then I'll use the dies to cut everything out, and I'll cut down that tiny diamond background to 4 by 5 1/4 so I can mat it on some white cardstock, because then it will really go along with these little white stamped images as well. So I'm using some foam squares to pop those up, and then I stamped It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. That is also from the Sketched Snowman stamp set. I'll use a little liquid adhesive to adhere that down to the background, and then some snowflakes all around. These cards are so easy to create, and the glittery backgrounds really impact the whole look of the card. For this one, I've stamped the May Your Days Be Merry and Bright. That's also from the Sketch Snowman stamp set. And I'll just cut that down to a sentiment strip and pop it up on some black foam squares and place that on this rainbow background. I feel like it looks like the colors of the Christmas lights outside on your house or on your tree, and it was so easy to create. For the next card, I stamped out the Sketched Santas, 1 image from that and 1 sentiment. And again, I'm using my water brush and some of the Simon Hurley inks to add little bits of color, because I wanted the Santa hat and coat to be red and the little present to be green. Then I'll use the coordinating dies to cut it out and just trim down the sentiment into a rectangle and pop both of those up on the brick, because it reminded me of the chimney that Santa would go down on Christmas evening. So just a fun way to add glitter to your backgrounds and make your holiday cards shine. I was so excited when I heard about these Astro pastes, and being able to use them on holiday cards is such a blast. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. To create some glitterily, like literally, but with glitter. Okay.